Joining us here at Post 9 today for a closer look at the quarter is GlobalFoundries CEO Tom Caulfield. Tom, it's great to have you in-house. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Carl. Nice to be here.
We've gotten so many signals in the space in the last week or so. How does yours fit into the overall narrative and what's happening in semis?
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of choppiness in the market. Even heading into earnings seasons, there was a little bit downward pressure. I think what differentiates GF a little bit in this space is the breadth of the end markets we serve. If you're over-indexed on an end market that's been a little bit more consumer-driven, where there's more pressure on that, and you'll see a different type of earnings performance. Okay. But look, I think the other thing is we did deliver a solid quarter compared to our, kind of our reset outlook that we reset at the end of Q1 of this year, and that's a tribute to the resiliency and the dedication of our team. We have an amazing team. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give them a shout out for what they delivered this quarter and the previous quarter.
So how are you thinking about growth next year? I think you said it depends on inventory levels, right?
I think there's two elements to this. But they're all related to demand. We're still in a situation where maybe we're starting to see normalization of the peak of inventory. Some have reported it coming down, again, depending on end market, and some have talked about it nearing the peak. But we need a catalyst for demand. And if you start to use your crystal ball, and I'm not better than anybody else, we have a lot of macroeconomic uncertainty and geopolitical issues we're dealing with. We have high inflation that's being beaten down with high interest rates. What does that do to consumers and their ability to spend? We're a consumer-led industry by and large, so we need to get that confidence back in consumers who want to spend again and drive a refresh cycle of their electronics.
Where would that happen first? In what kinds of silos, if we were to be so lucky?
Well, I think it has to start where the market's been down the lowest. So for us, it would be smart mobile devices, handsets. Will we get a replenishment cycle? And I think when I think about this, it's not so much what's in store for next year. It's what's going to be the real catalyst for our industry going forward. And when you think about AI, today it's all about AI in the cloud. We're training the models in the cloud. We're creating the large language models. What's really going to be the driver is to have AI at your fingertips, AI at the edge. And you're going to want that next smart mobile device, that your phone, your Internet of Things device to be AI enabled. And once those models start to go from training in the cloud to inference, which is the action at the edge, that's what I think is going to really drive a replacement cycle for industry.
So you think the growth in mobile and smartphones comes from AI?
I think a refresh where you want a phone that's AI enabled, that it has that capability, and then we'd say, well, now I need a new phone, not, well, maybe I could wait another year.
And how much does that move the needle for you at GlobalFoundries?
Well, this quarter, I believe smart mobile devices is 42% of our revenue, but it also hits us in home and industrial IoT. Quite frankly, any device that has electronic capability is going to want to be AI enabled.
As we move from picks and shovels to actual platforms and services.
There you go. That's a long run.
Yeah. You want to talk about the reshoring efforts and the degree to which this money is being distributed and who wins and who wins less?
Let's go to maybe first principles. Why is this happening? For the better part of the last 40 years, we've had this huge concentration of supply in one region of the world. And, independent of geological, geopolitical issues, it's never good to have single points of failure. And so this idea of resiliency in supply chain really gets tied to the recognition for how important semiconductors are to the world economy and to the human life. And so now getting that resiliency is about hedging because we live in uncertain times. And even if we didn't, too much concentration is not a good thing. So what happens? Regions around the world, the United States, Europe, and others are creating co-investments or incentives to make sure some of that capacity comes back to their regions to create that economic supply chain and, in some ways, national security for their country.
No, that